This is F15E, Wings for a Woman, Senior Individual Performance by Jacqueline Liu. Good morning, y'all. My name is Jacqueline Cochran, and have I got a treat for you today. I'd like to introduce you to Jacqueline Cochran Cosmetics' all-new Flow and Velvet Beginner Set. It's got your rouges on the top and your creams on the bottom, and... Oh, I'm sorry, I actually don't do this much anymore. See, just last night I was telling my husband Floyd how terrible I've been in the classroom since I left the sawmill, and how me being a beauty operator requires beauty, but not exactly a whole lot of brains. And my dear, sweet, doting husband bet me I couldn't do something that did involve brains. He gave me 6 weeks to earn my pilot's license, and I told him, bring it on back down to 3, because I don't want to spend a vacation and a half in the air flying above Long Island. So, 3 weeks later, they all made bets against me, but in the end, who's the idiot who said I couldn't do that? Now, exactly 1 year after my first race victory was the start of the Second World War. With all the ruckus I've been causing in the industry, the American military called me, asked if I wanted to go overseas and help recruit some women for the British Air Transport Auxiliary. But it was also in the books for me to be doing the exact same thing back home. So, ma'am, can I just ask you what you think you've got to offer the air transport? Perfect. And why us, per se? I see your point. All right. And ma'am, one last question for you. Can I just ask if you've got any official flight hours in the log? Thank you. Oh, excuse me. I think I've got a call coming in just about right now. Hello? Yes, Jacqueline Cochran. This is she. No, I understand you've done your thinking, General, but I've still got to do mine. I don't want to go home just to start some sort of fight. I need your word that this program isn't just going to become another casualty. Oh, you would do that? You would do that for me? All right, well, give me a month to get things here in order, and I'll see you back in D.C. That was General Hap Arnold with the Army Air Forces calling me back home to America to recruit some women pilots of my very own. He did his part. I think now it's time for me to do mine. So, I'm going to trade in the Union Jack for some 50 stars. I say, let's get to work. Now, the new Flying Training Command under my direction was under orders to only train 1,000 of the best women we can find. Taller than 5'4", stable, clean cut, and with official flight hours and a log that we could track. I said to myself, we're only going to train 1,000. We're only going to train 1,000. We are only going to train 1,000. But by the time word got out, we had over 25,000 applications come in. And I know what you're thinking. We eventually did have to narrow that down. It was real tough looking some of those women in the eyes and just telling them it wasn't their time yet. But everything was moving so fast. You see, they had me moved out to Texas to get training in full swing. And by summer of that year, 1943, August, my training program in the Ferrying Command had merged to create the Women's Air Force Service Pilots, or the WASPs, which I was named director of. And let me tell you, we did some good work. I always said it's not the reproductive parts that fly the plane, it's the pilot. And no one seemed to mind that very much when we graduated over 1,000 women from the program in 1944. It was about doing a lot for the nation during the war, you see. All the nasty work, we towed targets, did search and rescue, carried out chemical missions. As I said before, all the nasty work, but it was all to prove a point, you see. It's about pushing past that barrier in the man's sacred world of flying. And I would have kept it going if I could, but there's a whole encyclopedia worth of factors out there telling you why I couldn't. They'll say, oh, Jackie just lost her juice, or Cochran couldn't keep her fat mouth shut for more than a minute, ruffling all the wrong feathers up in the Pentagon. But you're going to hear most of it about how the men came home, started tussling with us for their jobs back. We were disbanded by December of 1944, but I did have this much to say to the girls before then. I don't know, it seems incredible that you could have so many different emotions. Happiness, sorrow, pride. I have all 3 of those today. I'm very happy that we were able to train 1,000 women to fly the Army way. I think it's going to mean more to aviation than anyone realizes. I'm also happy that General Arnold and General Yount, that made this program possible, are here to see the final phase of this wonderful program. This program that will go down in history, not only in history, but as something that is so vital and has been so badly needed in aviation for so many years, and that is women's interest. And I have no doubt, if there's any reason to call you girls back up after December 20th, that most of you will respond, and we'll probably have about 95% of you back in the Air Forces anyway. No matter which one reason you choose to believe for our disbandment, they all unfortunately had the same outcome. But I think the most important thing that the WASPs ever did was be around long enough to show that there's no reason men and women couldn't be equal on the air and in the ground. Now, after the girls and I went our separate ways, it became very apparent to me very quickly that the jet phase of aviation was going to pass me by if I didn't hop on that train fast enough. I wanted to be the fastest in the world, you see, and so began my campaign to do so. I did so with a Canadian plane, the F-86, not even the fastest on Earth at the time, mind you. And you did use it to break a milestone, and that milestone held true for all pilots worth their salt. It's called Mach 1, the speed of sound. But breaking that kind of barrier only comes to people who want it, and by God, I wanted it so badly, spiritually, emotionally. I was ready to run that sucker into the ground if Chuck just said the word. Oh, Chuck Yeager, my closest friend, confidant, and mentor, got me almost to where I needed to go, speed-wise, but of course I had to finish the job myself. I remember the day very clearly. It was May of 1953. I was 47 at the time, almost a decade after I got back into racing after the war. All right, Chuck, beginning ascent to 45,000 feet. No, I understand. If I'm scared, then the systems will be as well. All right, beginning descent, 97, 98, 99. How am I feeling? Chuck, I'm gonna have to get back to you when I'm back on the ground. Descending once again. I wish I could describe to you more accurately how Mach 1 really feels. It's like flying through an explosion. It's like shock waves coursing through your whole body. So much so, in fact, that I felt like I was 2 feet off the ground when I went to go find my husband. But the flight tower didn't even catch it the first time, so what do you know? 1 hour later, I was back up and at him, broke the sound barrier for a second time on the same day. First woman to do it, had a hell of a time doing so. But if anyone told me that Mach 1 would be the easiest barrier to break in this life of mine, you can bet your bottom dollar I wouldn't have backed down, but I might have taken a little brass off the top just for good measure. It's my journey from sawdust to stardust that defines what aviation means to me and for me, or should I say for other women. It's a way for us to push forward and be there to say, hey, we're here to get stuff done just like the rest of y'all are. I clawed my way up the military for a separate Air Force. I plunged my plane in the ground at the speed of sound and came out stronger on the other side. I was there for women's rights at the birth of aviation to prove that we belong. But most importantly, I never stopped aiming for the top, no matter how many barriers I had to break down. And in breaking down those kinds of barriers, we build ourselves up to the sky. Thank you.